An overcast night after a lot of rain here in York. The field ready to go, however, so are the Lancaster Barnstormers and the York Revolution for the finale of a three-game series. The rubber game of the series, neither of the previous two games has been close, with the Barnstormers victorious here on Tuesday 11-4. York bounced back last night for a 6-1 win. Before we get into the details on tonight's ball game, congratulations, everybody. Time to celebrate one thing, and that is that the Barnstormers Clipper Magazine Stadium pulling off the three-peat, but we couldn't have done it without all of our fans and friends who voted for Clipper Magazine Stadium, the third year in a row that it has been named in the bracketed competition put together by BallparkDigest.com as the number one ballpark in the Major League Baseball Partner League division. So, again, congratulations to all of our fans, everybody in the Barnstormers family, and especially I'm going to point out a couple of fellas, Mike Logan and Trent Johnson, the two guys in charge of keeping the ballpark as wonderful as it is. It looks as new as the day it opened back in 2005, thanks to the efforts of our stadium operations crew. But a great honor indeed for the place that we call home, Clipper Magazine Stadium. Third year in a row. I don't think that has ever been done before. And great job for everybody involved, including everyone who voted. Well, the Barnstormers won't be seeing their own ballpark for a while again, except for the quick visits to get together before coming over here to York. It's off to Long Island tomorrow morning and then to Lexington next week. The Barnstormers not playing at home until July 1st, and even when the club is back at home, they will be dressing in the uniforms of the Lebanon Ironmasters, their alter ego for the 4th of July weekend coming up at Clipper Magazine Stadium against the Staten Island Ferry Hawks. Tonight, in the rubber game of this series, Oscar De La Cruz will be taking the hill for the Barnstormers. He is 2-0. He'll match up against Eduardo Rivera, who is 4-1 as a member of the York Revolution this season. The Barnstormers will be led off by Sean Dunston Jr. He is the center fielder. Melvin Mercedes batting number 2, playing second base. The left fielder hitting third is Kelly Dugan. Andretti Cordero is the cleanup hitter and first baseman. Ladarius Clark is batting fifth. He is in right. The designated hitter in the number 6 slot is Colton Shaver. Anderson Felice will be making the start at shortstop. He is batting seventh, and he may see a lot of action at short in the coming days. Jake Hoover has experienced what we hope is a minor injury, but he's not making the trip to Long Island. He hasn't played in this series. Hopefully by Lexington, it will all clear up. But Felice, for the moment, playing shortstop. Anthony Peroni catching and hitting eighth. And Trace Lair, the third baseman, is batting ninth. So again, because of injuries, the Barnstormers are back down to 10 available position players for tonight for the Long Island series. Hopefully it'll be back to 12 by the time we get to Lexington. Devon Torrance, I got very good news on that today from Ross. Devon is rejoining the ball club next Tuesday when we arrive in Lexington. For the Revs tonight, Troy Stokes Jr. leads off in right field. The shortstop batting second is Elmer Reyes. Connor Lean will take center field. He'll bat third. Nelly Rodriguez, the cleanup hitter, in the DH tonight. Carlos Franco shifts over to first. He is batting number 5. J.C. Encarnacion in left is the number 6 hitter. Josue Herrera will make the start at third. He's batting 7th. Jack Kenley at second base, and John Nunez, the catcher, rounding out the batting order tonight for York with 4-1 Eduardo Rivera on the hill. And now down to our field of play and the national anthem here this evening.
Fans, please rise if you're able. Remove all headwear and welcome Zoe Deal for the performance of our national anthem presented by AmeriChoice Federal Credit Union.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly
Our national anthem this evening at People's Bank Park here in York. The Lancaster Barnstormers and the York Revolution for the 16th time this year. After tonight, we'll be halfway through the 2022 War of the Roses, and currently the Barnstormers are up in the rivalry series 9-6, but 32 total contests. And for the Barnstormers to bring the Community Cup back to the east side of the Susquehanna, it will take 8 more wins in the remaining 17 games. Well, Eduardo Rivera leads off is on the hill for the York Revolution tonight. He has been tough on the Barnstormers. 2-0 in a couple of starts this year. He's also come on in relief. Lancaster only has 8 hits off of him in 16 innings. Overall, he is 4-1, a 3.63 ERA, 39 2/3 innings, just 27 hits allowed. He's walked 24, and he has struck out 34. 6'4" right-hander from La Romana in the Dominican Republic, now calling Richmond, Virginia home. Backing up Rivera on defense is Josue Herrera at third. The shortstop is Elmer Reyes. Jack Kenley with the start at second. Carlos Franco fitting in over at first base tonight as Nelly Rodriguez has the night off from defense. JC Encarnacion is in left field. Melky Mesa was hurt in the first game of this series. The center fielder is Connor Lean, and in right is Troy Stokes Jr. The catcher tonight for the Revs is John Nunez. Here is Sean Dunston Jr., the center fielder leading off for the Barnstormers. He has been terrific as the leadoff batter for the Barnstormers. He's gotten on base in all 12 games he's played, and he's reached base 26 times in those 12 games, hitting .327. He also has 9 walks. He's been hit by a pitch once. The motion by Rivera, first pitch, taken upstairs, and it is ball 1 to Sean. Melvin Mercedes and Kelly Dugan sent to follow in the Barnstormers half of the first inning. The motion and a Dunston, the 1-0 pitch, recorded as a strike on the outside corner by Joe Del Balso, the plate umpire tonight. Buzz Albert at first. Scott Hart is over at third. Dunston goes for the 1-1 and slices a foul out of play to the left. Rivera gains an advantage in the count at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Dunston 3 out of 8 in this series. He has a couple of walks. Last night he had a single and a double. Here is the pitch. 1-2. Stung toward the middle. Reyes there to play it on one sharp hop. He will fire on. Dunston retired. The out goes 6-3. Hit well by Dunston, but he couldn't get past Reyes. And with one man retired, here is Melvin Mercedes, the Barnstormers' second baseman. Mercedes at .240. He has 4 home runs, 23 runs batted in. Melvin's average back on the rise. He had sagged at one point, and now he is 6 out of 14 his last 3 ball games. He had a big night here on Tuesday with 4 runs batted in. Fastball high off the glove of the catcher, Nunez. Ball 1, no strikes. Barnstormers and York just underway here at People's Bank Park tonight. Lights are on. The skies are starting to brighten. This was supposed to have happened a good deal of time ago, but the overcast is hung in here, and we had some persistent drizzle through the afternoon here in York. And eventually, it was going to stop, and the skies were going to break up and part. We may even see some sun by the end of this game. Ball 3 is up. Mercedes, a big edge in the count, 3 balls and no strikes. The Barnstormers team leader in drawing the base on balls. Kelly Dugan waits on deck. Andretti Cordero back in the cleanup slot tonight with a right-hander on the hill. 3-0 pitch. Mercedes looking all the way and takes ball 4 high. The Barnstormers pick up a 1-out base runner here in the first inning tonight. Kelly Dugan will step in. Dugan was kept pretty quiet last night. By pretty quiet, I mean he was 1 for 2 with a walk and reached base on catcher's interference. He did strike out against Nick Howard his last time up. So did everybody else that saw Howard. Rivera comes to the set. And to Dugan. Kelly will look at ball 1 inside. Eduardo Rivera has now missed with 5 straight. For Mercedes, that was his 35th walk of the 2022 campaign. A guy who walks more than he strikes out. Inching his way off first, not a huge lead. To Dugan, the 1-0 offering is tapped foul at the dish, and the count will level at 1 ball and 1 strike. Overall, Mercedes climbs into a 3rd place tie in the Atlantic League in the base on balls department with that one. The top 2 are on the other side of the field. Nelly Rodriguez and Carlos Franco. Dugan bats at 1-1. The motion and the pitch taken just low. Ball 2 and 1 strike. Dugan leading the league in batting average, slugging percentage, and on base percentage. With the days he missed last week, he has dropped behind in the cumulative statistics, but not in the percentages. 2-1, and to Dugan. Ground ball pulled foul to the York dugout. The count levels 2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, 1 on, top half of the first inning. We'll see which Barnstormers offense appears tonight. Team that has tremendous highs and lows offensively. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Dugan. The pitch, he hits a little pop fly that's going to drop in front of the second baseman, Kenley, who fires to short, gets 1, and back to first. Dugan able to speed through. Kelly's a little bit quicker than everybody thinks he is. So he is safe on the fielder's choice. He got badly jammed on that 2-2 pitch and hit that looper off the end of his bat that didn't even carry to Kenley on the fly. They force Mercedes, 2 outs and a runner on. Here is Andretti Cordero. He is batting .299 with 8 homers and 43 runs batted in. For a while now, Cordero has just been flirting with the 300 mark. He'll spend a couple of days above, a couple of days below, but never far away. Dugan leads off first, not a big lead. Cordero with a slow roller up the first base line. It is scooped up in foul territory by Franco. 0-1 on Cordero. Franco did everything he could to get there before that ball went foul. It would have been a very easy out. On Cordero, there was no room for Andretti to avoid a tag. But the ball rolled foul before Franco could get to it. And the Barnstormers' first baseman tonight is alive at 0-1. Cordero has started every game so far this season, several times as the DH. The outfield has him shaded to the right, the infield straight up. Cordero will take a ball up and in. It is 1-1. Barnstormers with Oscar De La Cruz on the hill tonight. He'll be making his 6th start. His first one and his best one so far was against this York ball club. 1-1 on Cordero. Rivera fires down and away. And it is 2-1. Rivera, former New York Yankee farmhand. He was in their system from 2011 through 2017. Went to both the Giants and the Angels in 18. 2-1 to Cordero. Ground ball up the middle. Base hit center field. Dugan will park at second. The Barnstormers have 2 on for Ladarius Clark. Cordero bounces back over the 300 mark, and he just stays steady. Cordero had the 12-game hitting streak and then went 0 for 6 the first 2 games against the Wild Health Genomes, and now he has hit safely in 7 in a row again. He has been very consistent. Ladarius Clark stands in. Clark also flirting with the 300 mark. He's right on it at the moment. 10 home runs, 31 driven in for Ladarius. Batting with Dugan at second. Cordero at first, 2 outs. Rivera comes set, and to Clark it is upstairs. Ball 1-0 strikes. Colton Shaver, the Lancaster designated hitter now in the on-deck circle. I'm interested to hear the responses. I've said to both Anthony and Colton questions about catching and how they like it, why they chose it. 1-0. Runs to the outside corner. Strike taken by Clark. It is 1-1. And that will all be in one of the pieces in the next online magazine. I also talked to Lindsey Gardner, the hitting coach for the Wild Health Genomes, earlier this week about her just different thoughts on what makes a successful hitter. 1-1. Clark goes after that, a swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Dugan and Cordero on board here in the top half of the first inning. The Barnstormers succeed as a team when they jump ahead early by a few runs, combined with a decent start. It takes those two things for this club. It's not been a good come-from-behind team. To Clark, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Rivera will deliver, and that is line caught to the backhand by the shortstop Reyes, and the Barnstormers are denied here in the top half of the first inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 left. Clark pulls it a little more, and the Barnstormers could very well have a run on the board. Instead, they get turned down here in the top half of the first inning. We're through a half, Lancaster nothing, and York is coming up.
Jerry Lee Lewis was the original bad boy of rock and roll. Now, hear all his hits in Great Balls of Fire at Dutch Apple Dinner Theater in Lancaster for a limited run, June 3rd through June 25th. Jason Cohen played Lewis in nearly 80 cities across North America. Now, he brings the ivory-smashing superstar to life in this theatrical concert. With some songs of his friends like Elvis, Buddy Holly, and Johnny Cash, as well as some New Orleans jazz and traditional gospel, Great Balls of Fire will have you jumping out of your seat saying, "Good gracious, get me some tickets." Call 898-1900 for tickets or order online at DutchApple.com. That's 898-1900. Great Balls of Fire, June 3rd through June 25th at the Dutch Apple Dinner Theater in Lancaster.
Oscar De La Cruz and Ross Peoples have asked for a little bit of work to be done on the pitching mound before we get the bottom of the first underway. Apparently, a little bit of moisture has started to fall again. I see 1 or 2 umbrellas open down below, not many, so it can't be more than a mist. De La Cruz has started to tune up out there, but hardly throwing at full strength right now, and they're coming out with the rakes, but the rakes are being used around first base and not on the mound per se. Backing up Oscar tonight, Trace Lair is at third. Anderson Felice with the start at shortstop. Melvin Mercedes at second. And Andretti Cordero over at first. Kelly Dugan, Sean Dunston Jr., and Ladarius Clark frame the outfield from left to right. Anthony Peroni doing the catching. And realistically, the only available player off the bench for the Barnstormers tonight is Trayvon Robinson. Probably good that you have a switch hitter available to come in later on. No score. We go to the bottom of the first inning. De La Cruz making his 6th start for the Barnstormers. He has covered 39 2/3 innings. He's allowed 42 hits, 23 earned runs. He has walked 20 and struck out 42. He accumulated 10 strikeouts in 5 innings in his start against the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs back on Saturday. He struck out 7 of the first 10 batters that he faced that night, and then his control got away from him. The next 2 innings, he walked 4 and struck out 3. And now it looks like the Barnstormers are being pulled off the field. They may have decided it is too wet out there. We saw the signal from Buzz Albert, the first base umpire and crew chief. And the Barnstormers are being pulled off the field. And this would only have to do with the field conditions. I can say this, they didn't put the covering on last night. They covered the home plate area and the mound. And I think the forecast was a little bit deceptive, and that there was supposed to be a certain amount of rain, not a ton of rain overnight. And We see Trace Lair back on the field demonstrating at third base how soupy it is over there. And the Barnstormers have been called off the field, and the umpires are now inspecting the entirety of the surface of play. So we'll keep it here for the time being. I don't know quite which way this is going to go at this point. A few members of the Barnstormers defense are milling around at third base. But the teams for the moment have been summoned off the field. And any more rain is likely to indicate a washout here tonight. But Ross went out with Dela Cruz. Dela Cruz started to get loose, and Ross had said something to the umpiring crew, and he was over toward first base, and the Barnstormers with the indication that this field is not playable at this point in time. I wondered about that. The sun was supposed to come out today, and it really never did. So you didn't get the good drying conditions. So the crew at Peoples Bank Park is being asked now to repair at least a few areas of this infield. So we have what you could loosely describe as a rain delay, although it's not raining. It's certainly not raining much, but it's adding to the already soggy field here in York. Top half of the first inning in the books, and I am assuming that we are going to get the game in here tonight. But how long it will be before we can restart, it may just be a matter of 10 minutes or so, or it may be a half an hour or 45 minutes before this game can get back underway. But they're adding a lot more of the drying agent to the surface here at Peoples Bank Park. And this is why so many of the clubs in this league now have gone to the artificial surface. They have it Staten Island, the two North Carolina parks, and Lexington. So 5 of the 10 ball clubs in this league play their home games on turf. This would not be an issue if you had the rug out there. That's the pro. There are definitely cons of playing the games on the rug, but this definitely is the argument in favor of it. Right now we are in a modified rain delay as the grounds crew has been asked to repair numerous areas of the infield. We're going to take a break, pot ourselves down. You can continue to watch the video portion. That will stay up. And as soon as we get word on a restart time, we'll let you know when Oscar De La Cruz will take the hill. So, as you can see, the work continues on the field. Many members of both ball clubs have retreated to their respective clubhouses. I certainly have to believe we will continue to play baseball tonight. However, this field is requiring a great deal more work, and there's some interesting questions that are abounding here. Is that why was the top half of the first inning played? The Barnstormers went to the field, and apparently, with especially, I guess, the corner infielders had said something. We saw Trace Lair swiping his foot in the third base position area, showing the umpires what he felt were unplayable conditions. And they continue to rake the drying agent into the field. So the assumption is we will play tonight. We've been out of action now for roughly 25 minutes. And it's going to be a while before play can resume tonight here at Peoples Bank Park. Now, York will remain home for the next few days while the Barnstormers head up to Long Island to play 4 games in 3 days against the Ducks. And the weather on Long Island is supposed to be nothing short of spectacular here this weekend coming up. So we shouldn't run into any issues as far as that is concerned. Tonight's game, I still think will be played. It's just going to be played late. We have 1/2 inning in. The Barnstormers had a pair of base runners on a walk and a single. Ladarius Clark lined out to close the top of the first inning. The Barnstormers went out to the field, and up here we all thought that the mound was the area in question. Oscar De La Cruz didn't start to warm up right away. We saw the grounds crew coming out with rakes, but they've worked more on home plate than any other area, although they have done some work around the infield as well. So we get 1/2 inning of baseball in tonight. I don't know why this wasn't checked out before action got started here tonight. I walked by coming down from the Lancaster bullpen area out of the clubhouse. I was talking to Ross, and I was talking to a couple of the guys doing the story that I'm working on the catchers. And when I was walking past the dirt portion of the infield, it looked suspect to me, but I didn't want to walk out there and test it myself. That's basically bad form. It would break protocols. You don't want to step on the field unless you are actually field personnel, especially in conditions like that. It's up to the management, up to the umpires, not up to me. And I also know that the Barnstormers bullpen mound was not in very good shape. Scott Schumann was supposed to throw a bullpen, and they scrapped that today. So he did not get the work in that he wanted to get in because that mound was just really in bad shape down there. They had worked on it, but it still looked awfully, awfully wet when I was walking past. Again, this is one of those situations where if you are management, specifically if you are in charge of the field, the groundskeeper, the turf management person, however you want to define that at this point in time, you always have to make decisions when it comes to the weather forecast, and not only the upcoming forecast, but what the weather has been. And apparently, they made the decision last night that the field needed water. It has been dry. You drive over the Susquehanna River, and you know that the river is running very, very low at this point. So it's been dry. They felt that the field needed water, but it rained a lot more than they thought it was going to for a lot longer than they thought it was going to, and then you didn't have the drying conditions this afternoon that had been anticipated. So they worked the field. They did what they felt they needed to do to get the field in shape, but now after 1/2 inning of baseball tonight and perhaps a few extra raindrops falling, the decision has been rendered that the field was not playable, but can be playable here tonight. If the umpires felt there was no hope for this game, this one would have been called off, and we would be coming back here and playing a doubleheader, probably not on the 4th of July, but on the 5th of July, which would finish up the first half, I guess, in game one, and we would start the second half in game two, or vice versa. But we're going to try and get baseball in tonight, and I have every anticipation that we will be playing baseball tonight. This, however, has taken a lot longer than I ever anticipated when the play was first brought to a halt, now about a half an hour ago. The Barnstormers and the York Revolution, middle of the first inning. Lancaster did not score in the top of the first, despite putting a couple of runners on base and despite a well-hit ball by Ladarius Clark for the final out. Oscar De La Cruz still waiting on his turn to take the field. He's going to have to warm up a little bit more down in the Barnstormers bullpen area, and we will see exactly how long this is going to take. Again, a lot of the players from both sides retreated to their clubhouses, and we see some here and there filtering back out, but I would think it's going to be another 10 to 15 minutes anyway before we can get baseball restarted here at Peoples Bank Park. So we'll keep, once again, the video portion open so you can follow that along with us, and we'll be back with any updates or the restart of this game in 10 to 15 minutes or so. We've been out now for a little over 50 minutes as the grounds crew has been asked to retailer the infield dirt, the dirt on the mound, the dirt around home plate. And by the signal that we just got from Buzz Albert, it looks like there isn't going to be baseball here this evening. So we have a rain out between the Barnstormers and the York Revolution. And as we are telling you this, the sun is breaking through. We see for the first time all day blue skies here in York, but tonight's game is rained out and will likely be made up here either the 4th or the 5th of July. We'll have that word for you at a later date and time, but this one is rained out. The Barnstormers batted in the top half of the first inning and had a couple of runners reach base. When Lancaster went to take the field in the bottom of the inning, they just had an immediate reaction. Things aren't right out here. And they asked for the grounds crew to come out, and they raked and they raked and they worked more drying agent in, and they kept going. And it was never to the satisfaction of the Barnstormers, or more importantly, the umpiring crew here tonight, specifically Buzz Albert, the crew chief. They just couldn't get the field ready. Again, the story, they left the field uncovered last night. I saw it as I was signing off last night, and I watched an incredible amount of rain fall here while I was packing up to go get the bus last night. It had let up for a while after that. The rain's on and off. They lasted a lot longer than anybody expected here last night. So we have a rain out between the Barnstormers and the York Revolution here this evening. And as you look out toward the west and the north and northwest here, you see that the sun is starting to break through. But the field just too wet to play after being left uncovered last night. And I thought it looked a little bit suspect as I was walking out there today. I was actually surprised that the game got started in the conditions that they were in, and my suspicions were correct. That field was too wet to get baseball going here tonight. So that is the story from Peoples Bank Park in York. The Barnstormers and the Revs rained out. They'll make up this game either at the very, very end of the first half or the very beginning of the second half. It would count as a first half game. So Oscar De La Cruz never threw tonight, but he did warm up. We'll see what that does to the Barnstormers rotation. It's possible that Oscar could jump back in against the Long Island Ducks on Saturday in the second game of the scheduled doubleheader there, or perhaps we'll see him tomorrow night. It's supposed to be Cameron Gann tomorrow against Anderson De Leon of the Long Island Ducks. So the story from tonight is a rain out between the Barnstormers and the York Revolution. Taking a look at the rest of the Atlantic League, game one of a doubleheader. Lexington beat Wild Health 5-3. They're just getting going in game two. Long Island has a 2-0 lead over High Point in the bottom of the sixth in game one. Charleston and Gastonia tied at 1 in the top half of the fourth inning, and Southern Maryland leads Staten Island by a score of 4-2 in the bottom half of the third inning. And Major League Baseball, a lot of finals from this afternoon, and there were a lot of close games. The Miami Marlins defeated Colorado 3-2. Atlanta trimmed San Francisco 7-6. The Dodgers slugged Cincinnati 10-5. Clayton Kershaw winning his fifth. Pittsburgh in 10 innings defeated the Chicago Cubs 8-7. Minnesota slipped past Cleveland 1-0. Milwaukee over St. Louis 6-4. And in the top half of the ninth, Oakland leads Seattle 1-0. Houston and the Yankees scheduled for tonight, they're now underway. It's a 3-all, bottom half of the second. Seattle did come back to beat Oakland, by the way, 2-1. Baltimore and the White Sox, Philadelphia at San Diego, still to come. Our next stop on this extended road trip will be Fairfield Properties Ballpark in Central Islip out on Long Island. The Barnstormers taking on the Ducks tomorrow night at 6:35. And as far as I know, Cameron Gann still scheduled to pitch the game tomorrow against right-hander Anderson De Leon, the little 5'7" right-hander from Brooklyn. He is awfully tough here in the Atlantic League. We'll have it for you here on the YouTube channel at 6:30. Until then, for our video producer Ryan Cortazzo and all the cast and crew back at the #1 park in Independent League or Partner League Baseball, Clipper Magazine Stadium. Have a great evening, everyone, and come a week from tomorrow night, we'll see you at the ballpark.